central part of our organization. Who here would like to be a more participating citizen of your organization and play a more central role in that? Well, that's what I want to do. That's what you want to do. And so in order to do this, we need to start generating wins. And once we generate wins, we can start getting the right resources. That means data, it means technologies, and especially people who know what they're doing. Once we've built that, we're generating more and more wins. We're iterating and we're winning over and over and over and over. And our organization succeeds instead of, oh, that new project thing like didn't really create value and stuff. And we don't really need those people anyway. Just go sit in the corner or something. And your project doesn't really go anywhere. And even if we think it's having an impact, do they think it's having an impact? It's bridging that divide. So continually scale and embed analytics into the organization. This is align the strategy, get the resources, scale and embed. And we want to be doing this over and over and over and over and iterating through. So this is one of my favorite lines from children's literature, which is this is what you should not do, small bear. Now let that be a lesson to you. For you Berenstain Bears fans, hopefully that rings a bell. Yeah. Where do we see this going wrong? And so there's a big literature out there right now of seeing when does data science fail? And one is when there's no clear vision and when it's largely IT driven. So we're going to get a whole lot of data and then we're going to do something with it. It doesn't end up as a great starting point. That's not a great place for us to start and to launch going forward. Rather, this iterating through and continually creating value and improving it over time tends to generate more success than in the opposite scenario. One did not tie value to use cases. Value was potentially created, but there weren't enough use cases to actually deploy. And I like the Underpants Gnomes example of that for you South Park fans. Awesome. And related to that is when you're missing translators or people who can bridge the geeks and jocks divide and be able to make it through there. Like people are working on something. I know there was this one person who I worked with. They worked on this project for 3 months. My boss was like, "What are they doing?" I don't know. That's a good question. We don't have that translator to say, how are we actually going to tie this value in? And then did not tie feasibility into these use cases. So we did lots of really cool things. We had some like moonshots, and not many of them ended up working out. And we started losing and doing low feasibility use cases over and over and over, and people get frustrated and they give up on us. We need to generate those wins earlier on and find those high feasibility even if it's lower impact. So one of the survey I like is that only 8% of 1,000 respondents with analytics initiatives engaged in effective scaling practices. So non-scaling, scalable solutions. We had really, really good ideas and we couldn't implement any of them across the entire organization. And so it's like, I'm a bank, I want to recommend the next product that you are most likely to use. A mortgage, money market account, 401k, what is it that I want to offer you next? Okay, I created this great model and it now works, it's super good at predicting. Okay, how do we implement that at scale and hit every single one of our customers and how do we reach them? Like, I don't know. Why would I know how to do that? And then we end up just spiraling downward because we end up with these non-scalable solutions. And finally, did not properly prioritize after value and feasibility analysis. So we do the feasibility and value analysis and then we reshuffle our projects and say, these are the ones we should do, these ones come later. And so if we don't have that order, instead if we're chasing the interesting things and not the high value things, again, there's that divide of the geeks and jocks divide. And then finally, no post-mortem. We're not celebrating our wins, we don't learn from our losses, we just kind of push through to the next project. And so these have been found in studies kind of over and over. When things go wrong, it's usually one or more of these things. So there's my classic favorite Berenstain Bears image. This is what you should not do. I learned lessons from watching. The School of Hard Knocks you can graduate from by watching and not going. So watch and don't just go. So we are going to do a case now. Yes, love cases. So you're heading up this new analytics team that we're going to call Hotel Inc. Marriott, Hilton, whatever. And you have the option for a project. Which one of these do you select? So 1, you create a dynamic pricing model to identify and adjust price for inelastic consumer segments. So basically, you're able to raise prices on consumer segments that don't really care about price. Number 2, a customer show or no-show model to predict upcoming demand and potentially allow more walk-ups or improve our pricing. Number 3, begin analytical marketing for email campaigns. It's not quite being done yet. Number 4, create a model to determine attractiveness of potential acquisition of regional hotel chains across North America. And finally, identify optimal customized mix or dynamic offering for the minibar. Okay? And so what I'd like you to do is to consider, what do you need to know before you pick, and which one do you pick? We'll give you a minute or 2. We're going to walk through this. So think of this in mind, have this in mind. Which one do you pick? But what are some other things that you need to know before you pick it? Okay, so we'll give you about 45 seconds to think it through.
So, impact and feasibility. And what do I need to know? I need to know how much data I already have on this. How long would it take to get the data?
Fight with your neighbor about it. We'll break you up after 2 punches.
Which one is highest impact, all right? Number 5 is least impact for sure. Number 4 is pretty high impact, I would think. 3 is fairly low impact, probably.
Give you 20 more seconds.
2 is a little higher impact. Create dynamic.
What do you pick? But what do you need to know before you pick it?
Number 4 seems like the highest impact. What you would need to know. Attractiveness of potential acquisition of regional. Which hotel chains are you going after? And what would that do to your brand?
Okay. All right.
People are using
Who's brave? Yeah.
I have no idea. Yeah, that's
That is very true. So what is the question that you need to ask?
So I think first you need to run through that value equation we had before, the value capture for each of the scenarios.
Okay.
Try to figure out how you can create the most ROI. In order to do that, create some financial models, operation models, and acquire data based on the situation, right? So how do you provide the most bang for your buck? And whichever you can do the most bang for your buck, that's the one you choose.
Awesome. Complete answer. Yeah.
I say that each of these points, each solve a specific problem. So I would go and talk to other parts of the company to figure out what is the actual biggest problem that a company is having. Who would be best served by these problems?
Awesome. Who's your customer? Yeah.
Okay, the first one is I want to find out the outcome, the customer segment size, and the premium I can push. Okay, that's those equations.
Yeah.
The second one is that no-show versus no-show customer size. That will tell me how much the value I can get out of it.
Yeah.
Third one is that obviously cost analysis, marketing, right? Where I am now, what kind of campaign I'm thinking about, and what potential payoff or benefit out of it. Number 4 is the fit. You know, what my current chain, what my current theme, my current customer base, what I want to branch off, and my competition, the market segment, how big, how few competition, domestic or foreign. The fourth one is of course cost of variance, and then also what the potential offer.
Yeah.
That's been very successful in cruise line and Disneyland.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. What else?
Piggybacking on the first answer, I think you also want to take these through the feasibility versus impact model and see, I mean, I think you could assume certain levels of impact based on kind of the context of what's written there,
Yeah.
but they're basically assumptions.
Yeah.
And so, and then for feasibility, those would be even longer assumptions, because you really can't assume that any of them are feasible, except for number 5.
Yes.
That one I think high feasibility, high impact.
Here's the Fed.
I'd also argue that numbers 1 and 4 are extremely difficult to do if you don't already have trust in the organization.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Because they're pricing companies like money. If you threaten the money, they're gonna be nervous.
Awesome. Yeah.
I think that the first thing to know is what does the company want? And what's the goal of the hotel? If it is money, then go for the one that's going to give you the most impact.
Yeah.
Given that it's visible, but that would be the first question I want to know. What does my boss or board want to do?
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, for me, it was between 1 and 2, and I think the defining factor, which would determine whether I would push for 1 or 2, would be finding out exactly how much of the customer base both of those groups make up. So walk-ups, I need to know exactly how many people we're turning away every time we don't have room to accommodate them.
Yeah.
And for our inelastic customer segments, if those are a big enough portion, obviously, even if it's a $1 or $2 increase, I mean, if they're inelastic, they're not gonna care, and if they're big enough, that results in a profit that would make me push for that one. So customer segment and the size of it specifically would be a big one that I need to know.
Awesome.
I really like the first comment about understanding financials and where the company is in context. So I look at this.
That's not my job. I'm not an accountant. What?
Well, I did BI analytics for the executive team.
Yeah.
And we went, I lived the startup life cycle. There was the part of our life cycle where they were saying, okay, now do we go acquire somebody? And so 1 and 2 versus 4 would entirely depend on where your company is in terms of profitability, its life cycle. If they're looking at how do we grow immediately into a new region, that would obviously make number 4 a high priority. I think the only other thing I see looking at that list immediately is, given how specific and I think well-defined the rest of them are, I would immediately nix 3 until marketing came back with a more defined project.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I didn't realize that, but what you need to know before you pick is, which one of these could get me fired, right?
What do I want?
In the context of the organization, knowing who's preferred.
Fantastic. Yeah, the back.
A volunteer or wrong answer. Looking at the list there, I would still need to know the percentage. But number 2, to me, jumps out because it's talking about lost inventory. The other ones to me look like you're trying to supplement growth. But 2, if you have no shows and nobody in that room, it doesn't matter what the minibar is doing for that room. You lost that inventory.
Good point. Yeah.
Lots of good points already. One of the things I wonder is how soon do they need a return on it? How fast does it have to be?
Exactly.
And if it's a new analytics team, then they need early success too.
Awesome. We're doing it. Yeah.
I am an accountant, so I was thinking more about
Yes.
amount of assumption perspective. So for me, number 4 would need the least amount of assumption, and the number 1 would require the most assumption. And if the assumption falls off, then the result might be way off from the expected. So for number 4, first you need to know if you have enough cash to support acquisition, and then what's the goal for the acquisition? For example, Amazon acquired Whole Foods to apply their supply chain, so that was their goal. So if there is really a business goal, in acquisition, so I think that can be considered. And it's really a minimal assumption really for number 4. So I'm deciding between 2 and 4.
Okay.
On 2,
So, oh, one more. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, so I looked at this originally and thought, yeah, 2 and 3, those seem like the obvious choices. With 2 those that you should be visible. And then someone later mentioned 1 and 4 were more based on pricing, and like, I work in pricing, so maybe that was just me looking at those and going, oh, yeah, those would be hard. So I think it really just showed just like the difference between what's feasible and what looks cool and interesting to you versus a totally unbiased person who maybe doesn't know how pricing works in the same way to be able to say, no, that actually would be better.
Yeah.
And it shows the price.
Yeah, so with pricing, by the way, if you have if you have a business with a 5% profit margin and you can increase prices by 1% without losing any customers, your profits go up by 20%. That's huge. Yeah. So I love how you each are making these individual points, but what you've done, you've stepped back. You haven't jumped into making a model yet. Good job. You've done it. So the point of this exercise is you don't look at a problem and say, I can make a model, and no, take that step back. Someone made a point earlier on and said, you know, I need to consider operations. I need financials. I need this. And too often we just kind of outsource that. It's like, well, the management just tells me what to do. And then I just go and make a model, and then I come back, and then I hand them a model, and they tell me to make another model. And we just kind of cycle through this, yeah.
I just want to emphasize this gentleman mentioned earlier, which is a career lesson I learned, is that you first consider your job. That seems like a very, very button, right? But if you, the truth is, if you're not in the organization, you cannot make impact. So that could be a very button, very first consideration.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. So, as far as kind of the lessons learned coming out of this, is take a step back and look at what you're doing, look at the projects that you're doing, analyze and go through each one of these steps and realize, you know what, the right answer could be any of these 5, including 5. That's a super feasible project. Like we could make that one in an afternoon, okay?
5 is good for building trust.
Yes, exactly. 5 builds trust. If this is the first project you are ever doing, it's 5 every time. Mini bar, mini bar, mini bar. And so what am I looking for? Like, what are my team's capabilities and maturity? What's the trust and expectations that we have? Are we going to be able to use the right frameworks of frequency and value and feasibility in order to select the right project and step through this? So like, is this something that we can have with dynamic pricing, customer no-show, analytical marketing, potential acquisitions? Each one of these, we can evaluate each one of these in this context. So quick summary. So first, analysis changes decisions. If it doesn't change decisions, stop doing it. Second, you need to calculate the impact, and there's value times frequency. That's how you assess if you have a good decision, and then you weigh the impact with the feasibility. Crossing 95% of the ocean is not an A. And finally, scale the impact of your analytics team so you can grow and iterate and grow and iterate. And look at the larger context of what you are working on and what you are doing. And then you can start working on high impact and enjoying your job more, and enjoying watching your organization thrive, and enjoying growing yourself. Or we can just, do our old stuff. So thank you. Any final questions? Oh, go ahead. Don't let me stop the Any questions or comments or things that kind of jump to mind?
You have classes online?
No, not yet.
Can you just go back one slide to the summary?
Oh, yeah.
Take a picture of it.
Yeah.
Will you be making these slides?
I will be, but I didn't push them out beforehand, so I am deeply sorry. Although I'm really sure. But, and I'll friend request you or whatever that thing is.
Frame, data frame.
Data form.
Data form.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Thank you. Have a fantastic day. Go learn more from other people.